Hey everyone, and welcome as we continue our study through the New Testament, looking at the New Testament church. And today we're going to be in 1 Peter 2, verses 13 through 17. Real short section. Actually, the next few sections going through this week are going to be short because basically the way this works out, Peter hits a particular subject, and this whole section is really like one subject after another, but they're in little short sentences or short sections. And so we're going to cover those, and this is kind of the intro to that as we dive into it. So we'll look at that. But again, the next few days are going to be a little bit shorter reads and a little bit shorter sections when it comes to notes and stuff like that. So respecting people in authority is how he starts this out. And this is 1 Peter 2, verses 13 through 17. He says, "For the Lord's sake, submit to all human authority, whether the king as head of state or the officials he has appointed. For the king has sent them to punish those who do wrong and to honor those who do right. It is God's will that your honorable life should silence those ignorant people who make foolish accusations against you. For you are free, yet you are God's slaves. So don't use your freedom as an excuse to do evil. Respect everyone and love the family of believers. Fear God and respect the king." And so this whole section that we're getting ready to go into, and I'm going to, in this notes area, I'm kind of skipping ahead of what we're reading a little bit. But this result revolves around the key phrases respect or submit to all human authority. And so there's an authority and submissiveness that we're going to be looking at here. We've kind of talked about some of this before, but we'll go through it again because Paul wrote about it, and now Peter writes about it. And so Paul takes this respect, submission, and human authority, and he takes and applies it to several different relationships. And so in this, he's going to basically say that Christians should accept the authority of the government, right, up to the point where the government is asking us to do something that God has forbidden us to do. So that's that's a little bit different there. And he talks about Christian slaves or servants should accept the authority of their masters, and Christians and wives should accept the authority of their husbands. And we'll dive into each one of these as we go through them. And so Peter seems to be following an early Christian usage of traditional household codes here, in which a series of instructions was given for different members of the household. And so we'll look at that. And again, we've seen similar things in Paul's writings to this as well. In Peter's day, though, when we going back to the respecting people in authority, the king was the Roman emperor. And so Christians were suffering at the hands of the state and would soon suffer more under Nero. But Peter didn't call for them to rebel against the government or to take up arms against the government. He said, respect the people in authority. God has appointed them, and to respect them, those who are in authority. And again, like I said, this applies up to the point of them, asking us to do something that's unchristian or sinful. We know that. And so it's a matter of having respect for those who are in authority, whether we like it or not, whether we like them or not, whether they're persecuting us or not. We're still to show respect and authority. And the reason being is, if false accusations are called against you, or this, as we're going to see under Nero, there was a huge persecution that took place under Nero. And, one of the things that happened in this is the Christian people didn't take up arms and rebel against the government. They literally went like lambs to the slaughter into the different arenas and the different things here, and were killed for their faith. And the gospel message spread like fire. And so there's a reason for this, and I'll be honest with you, this is hard for me because my personality, my thing is well, if someone's going to come after me, you're going to attack me, well, we're going to fight back, right? We're not just going to willfully, submit and do, but Peter has a different approach to this. And so it's a little bit different. Now, again, it doesn't mean we don't stand up for what's right. It doesn't mean that we don't, continue to preach Christ and that kind of things. But our approach to a government who is against us needs to look a little bit different than I think maybe sometimes we would like for it to from a Christian standpoint. And so we'll dive into this maybe a little bit more as we get deeper into some of this study. But this is the idea here. Again, not saying if we do anything that they call us to do that's sinful and some goes against God's will. But the fact is they're in authority, and basically Peter's saying that they were appointed, they were put there for a reason, and we need to abide by it and respect that authority and submit to that authority during that process. And so, again, I know that was a little long on that, but I just want us to understand that the Christian look at government is a lot different than sometimes than I think we have it today. So then he continues on and says, "Love your Christian brothers and sisters. Literally, love the brotherhood. Love those in the brotherhood. Fear God and respect the king." And so Peter here might be reflecting on Jesus's balanced statement about the Christian duty to both God and the government. When we were going through the Gospels, right? Jesus talked to this. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and and it's this whole idea that we have to remember, which Peter's already kind of this is a temporary place for us. The worst thing they can do is kill us, and some people listen to that, be like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. That's a really bad thing. In the end, it's not. Right? They may kill us, and yeah, from a human perspective, it seems bad. But the worst, all they've done is put us in the arms of God. And so luckily in the United States, we don't have to really worry about this, right? This isn't something that we're really up against all the time. Now we've seen, a little maybe of an increase in that, in rhetoric and persecution, from certain groups. But I mean, even then, it's few and far between, and it's not like what they were seeing here. I mean, they were being hunted, they were being truly persecuted. They would have to hide, that kind of stuff. We're nowhere close to that, and so, but even then, still, we're to fear God and respect the King, and that's what he's getting at here. So, I hope you learn from this. I know, again, this is not a popular teaching. I'll be honest with you. I know, the people in the church tend to be pretty conservative, right? From a political standpoint. And the idea of standing up and fighting the government if they're trying to take us over, or they're trying, is a really good, popular opinion, but we're actually not called to do that. And that's not a popular opinion. And again, it doesn't mean we just, I don't know. I want to say it doesn't mean we just let them steamroll us. I don't know where the full balance is there, but I mean, that's what the early church did. And the early church grew like wildfire because of that, because people saw what they were willing to do for their faith, allow and to be persecuted and go through for their faith. And people saw that and was like, man, there's something there. These people are either, all these people are absolutely insane, right? Which, most people know there's not that many insane people, or there's really something to this Jesus that these people were talking about. And so more and more people came to Jesus. And eventually, shortly after this, right, it wasn't too far long after, about 300 years, I think. So maybe 200 years, 200-ish, I think, from the time this was written, that then the Roman government legalized Christianity and made it part of its government. That's where we get a lot of the church structure and stuff that we see today that happened through that. And so it's amazing what can happen when we listen to God and listen to his instructions and do what he says, not take matters into our own hands. Again, like I said, I know that's not a popular teaching. I don't like it, but it is the teaching that we're given. And so I hope you learn from this. As always, I encourage anyone who hasn't yet to subscribe to our channel, so that way you continue to learn from it and continue to go through it with us. We're going to finish these last few smaller New Testament books, and then we'll hit Revelations. I can't remember exactly when we're going to hit Revelation, but I think it'll be around the November time frame. But as always, I really appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch these, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.